I just mentioned before, one of the things that I love is all the different places we have in the region. Love going to various different things. Sunderland, one of my favourite places is the Winter Garden. Another place in Sunderland I love is National Glass Centre. Joining me on the line is Joe Howell. Joe, tell me, why do you love the Glass Centre?
Oh, hiya, Stefan. Thanks for having us on the show.
Not a problem. This is something we should get behind.
Yes, definitely. As many people as possible should be on board with saving the National Glass Centre.
Well, tell me, what does it mean to you? What's important about it to you?
Well, for me, I have been born and raised in Sunderland, and I'm now a professional artist and photographer, and all of my creative practice is quite closely interconnected with the Glass Centre and the glass artists within it. So it was an inspiration for me, really, as well, because, you know, nobody in my family ever did the arts. Everybody went into office jobs, and prior to that, you know, like there were old school shipbuilders and stuff like that. So really, I was the first generation to dare to be creative.
Have a dream, do something different.
Yeah, you know, like just not accept the day-to-day slog. So the Glass Centre for me is kind of a beacon of all the things that I guess are unique and good about Sunderland. Yeah. So I was like 14 when the National Glass Centre opened back in 1998. And I did a foundation course in the National Glass Centre in approximately 2005. And whilst I didn't really want to get all hot and bothered and make the glass myself as a photographer and an artist, like, there's so much to be inspired by in the whole process of it. I mean, you've said yourself that you've been to the National Glass Centre. Yeah, it's great. Have you taken in a demonstration?
I've more than taken in. We've actually stayed, and my two of my eldest kids have been for a couple of classes over there. My wife went along for one of the, you know, the Christmas ones they do where you can come along and make something. My daughters, the last time they were there, made paperweights for us.
Oh, fantastic.
And it was great. Do you know what it is? And honestly, that sat there. If I ever get a burglar, I'd be done for murder if I drop one on their foot. The thing is, though, they're a permanent reminder of what they got to go there and do and how much they enjoyed doing it. And that's the thing I really like about it. You know, it is something which is enjoyable and people remember.
Definitely. I mean, you just mentioned Harry Potter there, and I think for a lot of people, the whole process, I've referred to them as wizards before, because it's such like, you know, they're messing around with molten lava.
No, it is. If you stood there watching while people are it's such an art form. It is unbelievable that you can take something like you're saying, molten lava, which is pretty much what it is, and then turn it into something so beautiful.
Yeah. Have you seen the new Disney thing that's come out?
I haven't, no.
So they've brought out a new Pixar cartoon, which is called Elemental, and actually there's loads of references to glass blowing in it, and kind of about that magic that you can take heat and sand and, you know, a couple of the little bits and bobs, and you can turn it into glass and into 1,000 or 1,000,000 different things. Glass is important. You know, it's important in optics, which is, for me as a photographer, is really, really important. It's important in terms of skill. And in particular, in Sunderland, it's like our unique selling point.
It is, though. That's one of the big... Right, here's the big thing. When you get something like this and it's established, it's a unique building to visit anyway. There's not many places you're more than welcome to walk across the roof of.
Well, you can't do that now either.
Oh, can you not? Oh.
No, that's one of the big things. So the roof is a massive bone of contention, and essentially that's the main bulk of the reason why the university wants to eventually demolish the building. So
it's not been up that long, has it?
No, the building was opened in 1998.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it hasn't been open that long.
That was last Tuesday to me.
Well, exactly. It's not that. It doesn't feel that long ago to me either. But like I say, I was kind of at that cusp generation where, I was able to really benefit from the beginning of this whole arts and culture movement in Sunderland. I was just at the prime age range to kind of benefit from that. And then, obviously, since then, a lot of my career's been based around that because it is established, because it's a going concern, because it's a draw for people across the world to come and visit it. Like, without the National Glass Centre, I can guarantee that the photographs that I have taken wouldn't have been published across the world. But because of the National Glass Centre and because of the artists that are in there, and through their work, my work also gets shared across the world. And all of a sudden, that looks like it might just poof, disappear. So that's my position on it. Is one of a personal position in terms of my actual career, but also my fella's a glass blower.
Ah, right, okay.
And the whole reason why he chose to come and live in Sunderland was because of the National Glass Centre. And I know that that's not the only case.
No, it's
that happening.
Yeah. This is the thing. When you open something like this, you get to be known for excellence. And that neck of the woods, you've got one of the most visited beaches around the world for people for doing sea glass collecting.
Yeah.
And why? Because that's where all the glass was made. I mean, it's known for it in the area. This is the thing. It celebrates. And if you visit, you get to find that out. It's just such a shame that now 25 years ago the building was made.
Yeah.
Unless it's got that crumbling concrete in, then, that's a different story. It's a big resource.
We'll find that out, I guess, in the next weeks or so. Because there's been some people crawling around having a look. So I guess we'll find that one out soon.
Do you know, it's a big building. It is a big focal point. And like you say, people do visit and come to one of the things to go visit. It's the third thing on Visit Sunderland. It is the third thing to go to. It's on there. Of course
it is. And up until very recently, we were shouting from the rooftops how amazing it was. In fact, we were bringing down glass ceilings with the National Glass Centre in terms of culture.
You've been practicing that one, haven't you?
I have.
You have. I don't blame you. It's a cracking line. I'd be using it as well if I was me. Now, question for you then, right?
Go on.
Would you now that this, where we are, right? You know this is going to happen. What can be done differently to try and save the Glass Centre?
The first undertaking is to change the owners' minds, which is a big, big undertaking, because technically Sunderland University are the owners and they're a private concern. So, what they decide to do with their building is essentially like their business.
Yeah.
So that's a really, really big problem to overcome. But it's not completely insurmountable. The university still has a board of governors that it has to answer to, that will be able to, approach. We have approached Sunderland Council, and for the most part, it's been poo-pooed, and they're kind of going with the line of they're looking to take the National Glass Centre's services and put them in the city centre. But on closer questioning of things like that, you're like, okay, so do we have any suitable buildings that we can shift furnaces into? And the answer is no. So you'd have to either build another new building or you've just gotten rid of glass blowing. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a major disconnect in the promises that are being made and what will actually be achievable in realistic terms, especially if nobody wants to stick any money into it. So the long shot is to change Sunderland University's mind, get them to gift or sell the National Glass Centre back to a local interest company that basically that's its number one priority. The National Glass Centre is what it does. It's its venue. It's its core entity. Because I think the university doesn't want to, as they've said, carry the burden because it's not in their core remit at the moment. And obviously they've changed direction. And that's fine. That's your business concern. But I think in terms of, the community, the culture, the sustainability of, glass in Sunderland, we have to have a National Glass Centre as a whole entity. It's not going to work if it's dispersed in all of these little, nooks and crannies across the city. As soon as you dilute the offering, we've lost it. Do you know what I mean? Like we've already got glasswork on exhibit in Sunderland Museum, so technically, they're already living up to the things that they've promised.
Well,
we've
all
only
you
been
can
promised glass in the town.
I mean, all you can do is hope that people will, let's raise a bit of awareness about and realise what you could be losing.
Yeah.
If you don't, if you don't join in. If you don't push yourselves forward and say, hey, I want to keep this. People power is something which really works. And it is something which, if enough people are vocal about it, enough people come forward, then, differences can be made.
Yeah.
And that's all we can hope for.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we're not going to go down without letting people know how much it means to us, essentially. And we're not poo-pooing, I know it sounds awful, we're not poo-pooing the university, but we just think that actually the building itself's been underutilised for years. Can you remember the toy dolls?
Yes, I can. Right.
Well, can you remember Pete Zulu from the toy dolls?
Probably yes, if I thought about it.
Probably. Well, he was the first person to be running the cafe in the National Glass Centre.
Was he?
And that was before it was like a going concern for the university. That was when it was like its own entity, and they used to do weddings, they used to do events, they used to do live music. The cafe itself was like a top class bistro. So all of those things that kind of happened in the beginning that were fantastic streams of income that could have obviously continued to have been pursued weren't part of the core remit.
Well, why have they stopped them?
Well, because it wasn't part of the university's core remit.
So they just disappeared. There wasn't the funding, there wasn't the help for them, and they just went.
Well, I'm assuming so. We've got conversations going to try and find out different reasons why things have happened, maintenance questions, stuff to do about the initial design, because a lot of people that we've spoken to, including the university, have said that the building wasn't fit for purpose from the first instance. And in which case, then why did somebody not raise the concern back in 1998? To say 2000.
Well, we're finding this out now. I'm not trying to be rude, but we're finding this out with all the schools which have been built with the crumbling concrete and the other buildings which have been built with the crumbling. Yeah. Things do change, and I remember the big push when they opened that up was saying how amazing this place is, and it's going to be it's a fantastic, wonderful thing that we've got now, and something different for us all.
Yeah,
and just to find that it's going to disappear quite quickly, it's a little bit sad, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, unfortunately, like you've just pointed out, it's not the only building or glass and steel structure of its kind from around about the time that's endangered. If you've seen about Westminster, their big glass palace, which was made by the same people, has also got faults and cracks. Yeah. And they're looking at 250 million, apparently, for Westminster. Now, the 45 million that we've been quoted by the university in the documents that they've got online, it is kind of the second top quotation that they decided to run with. So in their own publication, there are two lower numbers that would get the National Glass Centre safe That makes sense. Safe and sound. Get you into the next few years, and then we can fundraise to make it the proper going concern that it should be.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, if you tell everybody it's going to cost you 45 million to fix, well, no wonder everybody goes, oh, sorry, I'm not touching that. But if you look at the lowest quotation, which is to get the roof sorted out, and like I say, it's just to buy you more time to take care of the property. You're looking at 2.7 million. The university's own publication.
Well,
so that's what I'm trying to change people's minds.
I understand that. And I hear what you're saying. I mean, it'd be great if we can get more people to talk about this. Coming on here, hopefully, if anybody wants to get in touch with you and try to do some support for it, what can they do?
So we have a blog and a website, and I'm doing weekly Zoom meetings and monthly public meetings. So if if you're not up on digital, then it doesn't matter. You can come and see us in person. And the email is savethengc@gmail.com. Obviously, everything's run by volunteers like myself, so if we're a little bit slow on answering you and things like that, do forgive us that we've all got full-time jobs.
So that's it. I mean, this is a labour of love, very much.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, look, the university is one of my best commissioners, so I'm probably absolutely shooting myself in the foot. But I can't let it go.
If you don't come forward and say something, then unfortunately these things do go away from you. Do you know?
As I say, shy time's getting out, and I've never been shy.
I agree with you there. There's no matter with that, and you don't come across as you are. Well, thank you very much for your call, and lovely to speak to you there.
Lovely to speak to you, Stefan, as well. Thanks very much.
Cheers now.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
There we go. Right. Somebody who's happy to promote and say, look, this is a fantastic resource we have here. I mean, I've been at the Glass Centre, I've been there probably about 12, 15 times. Actually, 12, 15 times roughly, I'd say, with the family. And then I've been there for meetings, and it's strange, right, for the job I do. When I've been doing gigs and stuff, and when you're meeting people say, oh, where should we meet for a cup of coffee? And if you're meeting in Sunderland, the Glass Centre's always been one of them places where people say, well, shall we meet you there? We'll get a cup of coffee. It's lovely surroundings. You've got the river right by where you are. You look out there. There's always something going on in there, and it is fantastic to pop in. So for me, it's somewhere I'm trying to think. I dread to think how many times I've been in, but it is a great resource. It would be a shame if it did go. So, Midnight Special.